And we are back, and it is time for the ElseWords. This is our big discussion topic part of the show, and this is all about the Amazon. We're going to talk about the rainforest, folks.
We're going to talk about Wonder Woman again? Oh, sorry.
But no, so Jeff Bezos is really pushing the programming for the Amazon Prime videos, which, is needed because, as an Amazon Prime customer, a Hulu subscriber, a Netflix subscriber, I really only will go to Amazon for movies that are not available on the other two. A lot of those movies are on Hulu, are on Netflix. So it's like, well, if I want to watch it, okay, I'm going to go over here. Or it's the only other thing would be 4K. That'd be the only other thing I would go to Amazon for, because they've got the third Star Trek movie in 4K and a few other things. But then other than that, it's a lot of the original stuff. And the mandate from Jeff Bezos is clear. Bring him Game of Thrones. He doesn't mean literally. He means, that style of movie or that style of appointment viewing programming. And
I thought he was just going to have Peter Dinklage chained up to him like Salacious Crumb.
It's like, I drink a lot and I know things. That is all I am.
That's not a short joke, Peter. That's a slave joke, which I'm sure is all the better on the internet in today's world.
So, please send all hate mail to Corey. But no, so this is coming off of Friday, where Amazon confirmed 5 new projects, series greenlights for a period drama from Paul Attanasio and Wong Kar-wai, and a comedy starring Fred Armisen and Maya Rudolph, 2 comedy pilots, and a Seth Rogen produced comic book adaptation called The Boys. That's
The Boys,
a straight to series order. So Corey, The Boys.
First of all, I somewhere in here I have some original art by Derek Robertson, who is co-creator on The Boys with Garth Ennis, who you might know from Preacher. Boys is a kind of dark take on people with superpowers who are so into themselves as superheroes that they forget how to deal with the humanity that they're supposed to be saving. And so The Boys is a group that kind of keeps them in check. And it's a deconstruction of superhero comics to the point of like introducing characters that are takes on Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and a bunch of other stuff. And it's very foul and very rude. And one of the main characters basically looks like the guy from Shaun of the Dead, and intentionally, but really great stuff. And would be one of those shows that I would consider subscribing to Amazon for if it became a part of it. But here's the thing. I'm Jeff Bezos. I say I want a Game of Thrones. You know what, Jeff? Everybody fucking wants a Game of Thrones. And everybody wants a fucking Walking Dead. And if it was that easy to fucking have one, we'd all have them. I want a 10-inch penis. Do you know why? Because 12 inches is just too heavy. And I need to cut that shit down. But no, it's like, look, you can say that you want something, but you have to actually fucking make it happen. And you need to get the right people involved. And you need to do the other things. And even then, you could have like all of the fucking crafted gold workmanship that it goes into making it. But you can't predict that people are actually going to watch. You can't just assume that even if you had it, even if you had Game of Thrones itself, that people are automatically going to be drawn over to your service to see it. And sometimes it takes time. In the first season of Game of Thrones, as good as it was, it took longer for it to become the obsession of people. Walking Dead took longer to become the obsession of people than it is.
But here's where I think they're getting at, because we've got 2 articles in here. One of them is hitting on more of the TV shows. What he's wanting is, he's wanting to focus in, because for the longest time, Amazon Prime has been known as, that thing that Transparent airs on. That's the only original program that they've really had that has won them awards, that has brought them, this big consideration.
And it's a great show to have that be your thing that people state about you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love Amazon because Transparent is so good. But what that says is, I love Amazon for something.
Yes.
And that's a big deal.
Here's the thing, though. Transparent does not air, does not release stuff all the time.
Right.
So you like, I feel like this is more of a hit for the $8.99 Amazon Prime Video subscribers as opposed to the $100, set it and forget it Prime membership people like myself, that we go, oh well, I get the Twitch Prime, and I get 2-day shipping and all these other things, so I'm good with this. And then occasionally, when they bring in the Grand Tour, or they have these other little things that might interest me, like the Tick has been one of the things that I've been getting into. And so it's this thing, like they're trying to do this. So like one of the shows that I mentioned with Paul Attanasio is called Tong Wars. It's an hour-long drama that he's going to be writing and executive producing. It's set in the 19th century San Francisco, and tells a story spanning a significant period of time about Chinese immigrants and the clashes between organized crime families in the city's Chinatown. It's one of these things, like they're doing all these things with these people to get that next House of Cards, that next Transparent, that next big thing that's going to get people thinking about Amazon.
Yeah, but here's the problem, is that they're also canceling things very, very quickly. This show Z, when is that the Christina Ricci one, the Ella Fitzgerald thing, or yeah. I don't remember what it was about. They're canceling a bunch of stuff at the same time that they're announcing these new shows. You're hoping that one of these shows is going to be your next big hit. But when I got it's a little ridiculous, because when I subscribed to Netflix, it was still DVDs and they didn't have original content. And then it was streaming and they didn't have original content. Then they got original content. It's like, oh, some of this original content is actually pretty good. But when I'm done watching House of Cards, and when I'm done watching Stranger Things, which is a show that is certainly I have to subscribe for at least that one program, the reason that I stick to watching Netflix is because of the amount of other things that might catch my eye. You can't just hinge on one or two shows that might be the magic give you shows, because that's what Transparent already is for them. You have to have enough things that can be interesting to other people on top of that. And it's not all going to be the giant be-all show. Some of it's going to be a lot of drivel. But some people like drivel. That's why Adam Sandler movies was the right investment for Netflix, even though I fucking hate them and I think they're shit. And I kind of think, well, aim a little fucking higher next time. Or the Richie Rich show, or mysteriously One Day at a Time, which I hear is actually really good, but nobody would have thought fucking One Day at a Time is going to be the show that's going to be a takeoff for them. And it's not really. It's not like a ton of people are watching it, but it is for the people who do enjoy it, the next thing that they click over to. Fuller House, the next thing I click over to. You've got to have a mass of stuff. And yeah, from that mass, you're going to have the stuff that floats to the top, and you're going to have the stuff that kind of sinks to the bottom. And when it's a real sinker, that's when you let it go. But you can't just say, I'm going to hone in and find the next perfect show or the next 3 perfect shows. It's like, no, you got to have like 50 shows and a bunch of other content to make people want to keep subscribing to your stuff.
So what I'm hearing from you is you have a problem with Jeff Bezos saying he wants to find the next Game of Thrones.
I have a problem with him thinking that it's that easy. And I have a problem with him thinking that that's going to be what gets people to subscribe to his service. Now, fucking Amazon doesn't need any of that, because you subscribe to Amazon service already because of Prime. You subscribe to it for a whole bunch of other reasons. And that's already kind of what he does. That mentality is what he needs to have in the Prime Video, because Prime, he just keeps adding more and more stuff to it. Oh, you don't really care about the 2-day shipping? Well, here's your fucking music service. Oh, you don't care about the music service? Well, here's your fucking book service. Or here's your streaming video service. Or here's this other thing. It's like there's all these benefits that they keep adding to Prime. Yeah, they're losing money on it, but Bezos doesn't give a fuck about losing money. Bezos just wants people to keep subscribing. And at some point, they'll catch up with those things.
I think Beat has hit this point on the head. Because where you're looking at it in the, he's saying this because he wants this thing. I think Beat puts it pretty good. He wants the next Benioffs and Sarandos. He wants those people that, you look at this story that they're telling with Game of Thrones, and it's D.B. Weiss and David Benioff doing it, where they can sell HBO anything they want. You
mean the guys who are trying to pitch the series about what if
yes,
Slave never ended and is going to blow up in HBO's fucking face before it ever even comes out?
Yes, but the point is, I think they're trying to do this because they're trying to do what you're yelling at them for trying to do. They're trying to get these shows that are going to bring people in. Like They've already got a 2-season order for Amy Sherman Palladino's The Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is one of the shows from their last pilot season that I fucking loved. And they're going, okay, boom, 2 seasons. They got John Krasinski led adaptation of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan from Carlton Cuse. They've got all these. They've got a David O. Russell's untitled crime drama starring Robert De Niro and Julianne Moore. Let me say that again. David O. Russell untitled crime drama starring Robert fucking De Niro and Julianne goddamn Moore.
Yeah, Robert fucking De Niro, Bad Grandpa. Robert fucking De Niro, the sequels to fucking Meet the Fockers and shit. Robert fucking De Niro is not the name that he used to be. Like, there's a time when Robert De Niro was the guy. He's been not the guy for a long time.
But crime drama. Usually we think of that. You're thinking...
Think of the last few Scorsese films that De Niro was in. Like, not the early shit, not fucking The Godfather, not Goodfellas. Think about stuff after Casino. It's like, yeah, that's like getting Stallone to play Rocky now, which but in the ring, not coaching Creed.
I'm gonna counter this with something that you not 10 minutes ago was just excited about. What about Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg?
Hey, you know what? I like Seth Rogen on Preacher. And then he also does things like that fucking hot dog movie. None of these are perfect. And again, I'm not saying that bringing in this stuff isn't a good idea. What I'm saying is he's canceling a bunch of other shit to bring in this stuff, which doesn't fill me with belief that this stuff is going to last past the 2 seasons that they pre-sold.
Here's the thing. The Z movie Z TV series that you're bringing up that starred Christina Ricci, what was it? Something about everything or something like that. It's one that you see on there and it goes away. Let's keep in mind that the first thing out of their whole pilot season that took off out of the very first pilot season has not seen a season 3. They got 2 seasons out of it because no one was watching it.
Right, because nobody was interested in their service to begin with. You've already just said that you go to Amazon last.
I said that myself because it's still one of those things where I am trying to find the thing. I feel like the app there needs to be better search. Like,
right.
I'm the same way. Like, today I went from
or don't confuse me by having free movies except also paid movies.
True, but here's the thing. I went from 5 to 6 today because I had a day off, so I was just sitting. I was doing reading comic books and watching TV and stuff like that. I went from Hulu watching Better Things. I watched the first 2 episodes of Better Things on FX. Then I went to Pluto TV because I remembered TNA Wrestling has this, or Global Force Wrestling, whatever, has a channel in there. So I was flipping through and I was looking at that. And I'm like, okay, a pay-per-view from, when I graduated high school. All right, watching a little bit of that, flipped to something else. Like, ADD kicked in so hard. Went to Netflix, was flipping through that, watched an episode of BoJack Horseman. Went to Amazon Prime, was flipping through. Actually, no, Amazon Prime was first today with a documentary called Sound City that was directed by Dave Grohl. I lost a little bit of interest in that because I'm like, I don't feel like watching a documentary right now. So I'm flipping through and I'm like, well, I can watch What We Do in the Shadows again. Mockumentary, not documentary, so it's separate in my mind. My brain is weird like that. And then going through all these things, and I'm like, okay, there's nothing. Watch The Tick. I watched, another episode of The Tick, and then went and watched Comcast.
Right. And here's where it is. This is what I'm saying. You're in Amazon already.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't keep your attention. You couldn't find something else in Amazon that you wanted to watch, and that's
Netflix.
But that's kind of a problem itself with us as viewers, because we want to jump from one thing to the next, and it's harder to find something to watch than it is to just leave it on. That's why cable, again, still works for me. So I turn on the TV, and it's really easy for me to find something to be up on the screen. But when I'm trying to, I'm going to stream something, I have to kind of dedicate myself to it a little bit more.
Yep.
But that's here to there. What I'm saying is that if you get people onto your service and you get them for that 1 or 2 big things, but then you can't keep them in your service, that's what Facebook does. Facebook gets you in on Facebook, and then they just never let you go. They get you by the short hairs and they keep you there. And that's what Amazon needs to do. And that's what they do with their shopping experience. It's like, oh, I'll just go to Amazon. Everything I need is here in Amazon. That is what Amazon has always done. So to not apply that to their video service is where I see the issue. And starting shows and stopping shows doesn't give you faith that the shows that you want to watch the next time are going to be there. That's the Fox effect. That's the I don't want to watch another fucking sci-fi show on Fox because Fox fucks up sci-fi shows. So screw them. I'm never going to watch their fucking bullshit again after they did stuff with Almost Human to me. It's the same issue. If you can't dedicate yourself to something and actually nurture it, it means you didn't really believe in it in the first place, or you make bad decisions. So you made bad decisions and keep canceling out on them, and then you make good decisions. And he says Z's a good show. It wasn't as compelling as this fucking dragon that we're chasing that is Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones exists somewhere, just not here. All right, fine. Then go chase your fucking dragon. But I am going to look elsewhere to companies that actually put faith in these programs for the longer haul. And yes, I understand. I love Sense8, and Sense8 didn't last very long. But you know what they are doing? Is they're giving it a fucking movie to finish it off at least. That's a little more faith than what Fox does, and that's a little more faith than what it seems Amazon is doing.
Is that more faith, or is that the fact that when they announced that they were canceling Sense8 after the second season, that fans raged?
No, I mean that's faith from the fans towards them because they are giving us that.
Okay, yeah,
I have more faith in Netflix at this point. They didn't have to, but they did it. And that's a difference. You know, it's if I am looking to have a series and I want to get to a series ending point, as opposed to having it leave me fucking high and dry and blue-balled, you know, and I'm dealing with fucking terriers, it showed that I knew going in was never going to get a second season. I watched it years later, and yet I still loved the show, and I wish it would have finished. You know, I don't have the fucking 30 years to wait for it to come back Twin Peaks style. I don't have the fucking time to just keep investing in shows that the people who make them don't give a fuck about anymore. It's a problem. Like, I would like to watch Pushing Daisies, but it's going to be really unsatisfying when I get to the end of the second season of Pushing Daisies, knowing again that it ended prematurely and is never going to come back. The fact that Hannibal might come back is a very compelling thing for what was otherwise a great show, but it's still upsetting when you get to the end and you don't get a satisfying ending. So Netflix saying, hey, we hear you, we're going to give you a satisfying ending because it's going to keep you watching our programming overall. You're going to be here to see the end of Sense8, and then here's all this other stuff that we also have. But when you're the new person who's never seen Sense8 before, when you like, what's Sense8? I've never heard of this. And you sit through the 2 seasons of the movie, at least at the end, you get something that's done. That's a big deal. That's why they invest in 5 seasons at a show at a time. That's why they decide to continue things like The Killing, so that The Killing actually gets to have a satisfying ending. Because people are already watching The Killing on their fucking service, but it's like, well, I get to the end of season 2 on The Killing, and then it goes away. I get to the end of season 3 of Longmire, and then it goes away. No, we're going to give you the endings to those things so that it will feel like, hey, I want to go and rewatch the entire series of Longmire again. And when I'm done, I get a satisfying conclusion as opposed to feeling pissed off because it never finished. That's a different viewpoint that I think Netflix does well, and I think Amazon could learn from.
Okay, yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
No, true. But I think there's a slight problem with this that you have with getting at Jeff Bezos for canceling Z, whatever the subtitle of the movie or that TV show was.
But I have no fucking idea what Z is even about, so my interest in it couldn't be lower.
It's like from reading, and this is from reading the article, because this is one of those things that I've seen, you know, like going through, I'm like, I could check it out, but I don't want to. But it's about Zelda Fitzgerald, F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife,
right,
in the 1920s and all that stuff.
Totally not a show that I would be interested in.
Yeah,
but it's the example.
Yeah, exactly. I look at other shows that are coming out that I'm like, okay, these are shows that I could get behind. You know, the half-hour untitled single-camera comedy from Universal Television starring Fred Armisen and Maya Rudolph that is also executive produced. They're also executive producing and writing alongside creators. Alan Yang did a show over at Netflix you might have heard of called Master of None, and Matt Hubbard.
Well, I still haven't seen Master of None, so I have no way of referencing whether or not I'd enjoy it.
That right there tells me, okay, yes, that's great. That's a great program. You got Upload, a single camera half-hour comedy set in the future and hailing from Office creator Greg Daniels. It's received a pilot. There's Making Friends, another half-hour series comedy from How I Met Your Mother creators Carter Bays and Craig Thomas. Also, Making Friends will be Amazon's first multi-camera comedy. So this is Amazon striking out into all these areas that you're wanting. So they're hitting one. No,
again,
shows that will get people in. These are shows that would get people in.
Maybe you have to understand. Shows that you and I might be interested in does not necessarily mean that people will automatically go rushing over to Amazon to watch them.
I am not saying me and you. I am not taking our.
And I don't know that anybody else is either. The
three shows that I've named, that have people from doing other things. The Office, little show that people have heard of, that I only have friends who watch it nonstop, and they quote it. I'm like, I'm a nerd, and I'm looking at you guys like you guys are fucking nerds for quoting the obscurest of Office episodes. Carter Bays and Craig Thomas, where yes, we have our hang-ups on How I Met Your Mother. A lot of people loved How I Met Your Mother. So you say,
you know what Netflix has? Netflix has a show that not only is from people who did it, but stars now three. Well, they fucking put Fuzz in there. 3 of the people from that 70s show. And it's not a show that anybody is jumping up and down to go over to Netflix for. They're already in Netflix, so maybe they'll check it out because there's a bunch of people from that 70s show in it.
Is Wilmer Valderrama in The Ranch?
Yeah, he's in the 2nd season apparently.
Oh, okay.
I was flipping through Netflix the other day, and all of a sudden I see Buzz's fucking face up there. I'm like, what the? Why do we still hire this guy? He's killed more shows than Leah Remini has at this point. But whatever. It has to be enough to, 1, get people's attention, but 2, keep them. And that's all I'm saying is you can bring in a bunch of talent and create a bunch of shows, but you have to keep people there. And what they're showing, didn't they greenlight the 2nd season of Z and then cancel it? They were like, yeah, there's going to be a 2nd season, and then all of a sudden changed their minds on it, because that's what I'm talking about.
No, yeah, and I get that, but the other part that you're talking about where they've got to get stuff there, well, they're doing step 1. They have
step 1 was 4 years ago when they started making shows like Alpha House and Betas and all that stuff. That was step 1. Where are all those shows now? Now,
okay.
Early Netflix shows, you don't hear a lot about the fucking Peaky Blinders and all that other shit too. I know. I absolutely understand.
Peaky Blinders was later.
Well, I don't remember what was earlier than that as far as their original content.
Yeah, no. As far as I know, I think I don't know for sure, but I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, out of your 2-pronged approach that you're saying, content that will bring people in, and then content to keep people there. They've got a little bit of that second step. That is the only place. Amazon is the only place you can find Mr. Robot. That is the only place you can find
somewhere else. It's not the only place you can find Mr. Robot when Mr. Robot is still playing on USA.
No. But what I mean, binge it. Can you binge?
Thank you, Evan. Lilyhammer.
Lilyhammer. That was an early one. There.
That's the one.
But that one I think was more because that's a co-production. That gets a little bit confusing because that's a co-production with a Norwegian television station.
Right.
But streaming it online, because yes, I know you can do a lot of these stuff on Comcast, watching the USA Network or watching whatever TV channel that's out there. But what do more people want? Streaming, And if you can't,
does USA Network not have their own streaming?
Not an app where you can do on demand every single episode of a show. They have where you can do select shows, like select episodes, but not. And they'll do occasionally catch up from the beginnings when season 3 or the new season is coming out. They don't have it's season 3 of Orange is the New Black or whatever just ended or wrapped up. Let's start here.
It just sounds to me like the same idea as I'm supposed to be excited that who was it? Hulu got Seinfeld.
Yeah, Hulu or no? What you mean, Jerry Seinfeld or the show Seinfeld?
The show Seinfeld.
Hulu.
Exclusive to Hulu, right? And how am I supposed to give a fuck? I already don't like Seinfeld, but how am I supposed to give a fuck that they got Seinfeld or that Netflix has Friends if they're on all the fucking time? If there's never a moment where I can't turn on the fucking TV and see Seinfeld or Friends on there. I get what you're saying. And certainly if I'm the person who's like, I really do want to marathon watch Seinfeld, or I want to marathon watch Friends, and this is a convenient way to do it. But those are things that are, again, bonuses for services that I'd already be in. And that's
a bigger one. the big one right here, Doctor Who, where it's the only place you can watch Doctor Who. And trust me, there are people, who will binge Doctor Who all the goddamn time.
Absolutely.
That's
And they
only
did
on
that when it was on
Amazon Prime.
Netflix right now. That's not content that they own. That is a contract that they have for a period of time, and then it'll flip over to somewhere else again.
But didn't you say content to keep them there? That's not.
Yes. No,
that's
absolutely.
Not
That's absolutely it. What's that?
That's not content to keep you there. That is not necessarily their own content.
Right.
That is the
but
deals
in
you
relation
make.
to that, and that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm. You're absolutely right. When I'm at Netflix, it's not about just the Netflix shows. It's about all the other stuff, and those things come and go as contracts wane and ebb and everything. But in the relationship of creating your own content, which Netflix is wholeheartedly invested in right now, they're trying to create more of their own content to keep people there, to make it constantly like you can't get these shows somewhere else. They know that not all of them have to play at a level of a House of Cards or a Stranger Things, because not everybody wants that type of experience. Sometimes we want stuff that is just to relax to. Sometimes we want stuff we don't have to think too hard about. Sometimes we want stuff that is stimulating in other ways. And that's part of it. The other part of it is, do I trust them that if I get hooked onto a show, that I'm going to get a good experience the entire way through for that show? Meaning, does it have a beginning, middle, and end? Does it have more than just 6 episodes and then goes away? Unless it's like a miniseries, and I can accept a miniseries is what it is. But I think that Netflix is better about taking something and giving it the time to grow. And yes, in the case of Sense8, for instance, they realized that it wasn't going to be something that they were going to be able to continue with because the quality they felt was never going to reach what they wanted it to. But they still give it a satisfying ending. Hopefully. I mean, we'll see. I look at this and it comes to me like Bezos is in more of a panic than coming from a point of strength. Now, if that panic gets him great shows that do get people more interested in going to the Amazon Prime subscription service, fantastic. But it sounds very desperate when you say, bring me Game of Thrones. That is such a fucking boardroom, non-creative thing to scream out. And I'm not saying that's how he did it. And it's a great headline, but it just sounds like that person over there is making widgets. We need to make widgets too. Well, people are already buying widgets from them. Well, bring me something just as good as a widget that people also need. If I could create the fucking widget, you think I wouldn't have created it already? We can't just do what they did.
But here's the thing that I think he's getting at with this whole thing, with the whole bring me Game of Thrones. Look at everyone that have signed deals to bring stuff to Amazon. Robert Kirkman, creator of a little series both in the comic book world and TV world that is totally dominating television, has the #1 and #2 ratings for cable for AMC with The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. How Fear the Walking Dead? I don't know. That's besides the point. That's
right. Fear the Walking Dead is because of name recognition of The Walking Dead. And look at Kirkman's other properties and see how any of them have done in comparison to the one hit.
The other part, Outcast is a hit over at what is it, Cinemax?
It's done okay. It's certainly done okay. I enjoyed the first episode, but
he's signed on here to create more stuff.
Yeah.
You've got
and when he has his second Walking Dead, I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
But
still, I mean, he's getting.
It's kind of like the Mark Miller thing. It's like, oh, great, we signed Mark Miller. You mean the guy whose properties are spread out like the fucking Big Bang? All right, sure. What'd you get? Scraps?
But no, what I'm saying here is he's gotten a whole bunch of people. I mean, he's got, Fred Armisen, Seth Rogen.
Yeah. They're all very good, talented people in their own rights. Absolutely. And every one of them may make excellent shows, or any one of them might make an okay show that still gets popular, or they might make crap. You don't know. You never know. And it could be, in some cases, it could be Breaking Bad that is a very slow build to a great show. And so if it's a slow build to be a great show that suddenly becomes the giant hit, is Amazon going to give it the time to gestate and reach its full potential? Or are they going to say, oh, this didn't perform like we wanted to do at Game of Thrones level, so chuck it, move on to the next thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're going to solve this today.
No, we're absolutely not.
Yeah.
And props to the guy for trying to get creators involved and
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, I still say you're dicks for pitching a service and then having so much stuff that is still behind a fucking paywall. But I don't give a fuck because I'm not buying.
I am. It's one of those. I look at stuff in the quality, but over the little bit over the convenience. When it comes to like, I still need to finish Star Trek Beyond, but I think I'm going to do it in 4K just to see how it looks. Because I started it on Hulu and I'm like, let's go away from Hulu. And plus, I did the whole $100 set it, forget it thing. But that is going to do it for the show this week.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.